Hello, this is Shan Chandrasekar welcoming you to another delightful part of our programming. As you're probably aware, we've been doing a series now on ATN's tribute to 100 years of Indian cinema. Talking of 100 years of Indian cinema, it would not be complete if we don't do justice to one of the greatest personalities from the Indian film industry who went beyond the Indian subcontinent in terms of putting Indian cinema and the culture on a worldwide map.
Kabir Bedi is a well-known film star from the Bombay film industry who has today become a major international star. The Sandokan television series, an Italian, German, French co-production in which he played the title role, established him as one of Europe's most important stars in 1976. Some of the awards won by him in Germany, France and Italy since then have only confirmed this. Kabir's film and television series have been shown with great success in most major countries of South America, Africa and Asia.
He's probably one of the first people who had a major breakthrough in Hollywood. He won awards all over the world. His Sandokan series was one of the biggest in Italy. We'd like to welcome to the program none other than your favorite Kabir Bedi. Kabir, it's such a pleasure to have you in the program.
Shan, great seeing you again.
It's wonderful to see you. It's been quite a few years since we, met each other, and and again, our congratulations to you. My God, you've done fabulous things.
Hey, listen, look who's talking, Shan. I knew you from the 80s, and you have created the greatest empire of Asian broadcasting in North America. And it makes us all very proud to see what you've done.
Oh, it's very kind of you.
No, it's
Coming
true.
from you, that's a true
It's
compliment.
true, it's true, because I've seen you. I've seen you grow. I've seen the effort you put in. I saw the passion you had for it. I saw the dedication you had for it, and it's all paid off in spades. So no one could be happier than me seeing your success.
I truly believe that as well, that you would be really happy, because I see you as a true well-wisher. I remember those pleasant days when we first met. When I met you for the first time in Los Angeles, brings me back such pleasant memories. You had this beautiful house in Beverly Hills in a very posh area, and and a lot of movie stars lived in that area. A lot of creative people lived in that area. It was a very vibrant location, and you were actively involved in those days. Frankly, Hollywood had not heard enough about the Indian film industry at that time.
It's true, and it was also true that I was the first Indian actor to have actually come from Bollywood and made a career in Hollywood. Lot of it in television, but there was also the James Bond film, there was Thief of Baghdad, Octopussy with Roger Moore, and it gave me a base. I mean, I'm thankful you're including me in your tribute to 100 years of Indian cinema, because I've spent almost 23 years of my life outside India, 15 of which were in LA, then there was London, then there was Rome. So I've had a career of on 3 continents,
Absolutely.
In 3 medium, film, television, theater, and I'm still standing to tell the tale. So that's something I consider the biggest achievement, having survived all these continents, survived in a difficult industry, and still be here to tell the tale, and still be acting, and still be doing some wonderful projects.
By the way, our hearty congratulations to you. You received one of the highest honors ever bestowed in the history of Italy, I should say, and it's the equivalent to the knighthood. So technically, we have to really call you Sir Kabir Bedi.
Well, Cavaliere is the correct term, but yes, I was greatly honored by the Italian government by being knighted. And this was because it began with my relationship with them with a television miniseries called Sandokan.
Right. Oh, world famous Sandokan.
Yeah, and it made me a star in Europe.
Right.
And incidentally, I've just dubbed that into Hindi and English, and you're going to see that in the early next year. Hopefully, I'll come out with DVDs of that.
Great.
So the community can see my legacy and show it to their children as well.
Wonderful.
But ever since then, I've always, every year or two, done something for the Italians, which is a major piece of television or feature films. And that relationship has endured, because Italy sees me as its ambassador in India, India sees me as its ambassador in Italy. And I like to promote the feeling of a relationship between the two countries, because both have been so richly rewarding for me.
Absolutely.
And both are so similar. I mean, the Italians, we all use our hands. We all have the same sense of warmth. We all like, good food, cuisine changing every 200 miles. We have the importance of religion, the importance of family. India and Italy share a lot of values. And I think that they have honored me greatly, and I'm most grateful for it. But then, as Shakespeare said, all the world's a stage, and I made all the world a stage for myself.
Oh, that's fantastic. Kabir Bedi does not require any introduction for people of the Indian subcontinent, but for non-South Asians, maybe some of the Canadians and Americans, we want to show you who this great man is. Let's take a look at it. Kabir, you were very modest when you said several years you lived outside of India, but the interesting part is that you were flying the flag of India while you were away.
I tried to.
Because you were not only successful in India with your earlier Hindi films that you had made, but in Hollywood, my God, in addition to you, first of all, James Bond movie, with Roger Moore, who could ever forget
Octopussy.
Govinda, your character there, isn't that correct?
Right.
Yeah, where, what interesting scenes.
Crushing the dice scene.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And fighting him on the plane, fighting him on the train, all kinds of chases on elephants and
there was another film with William Holden and you were Michael Caine.
Ashanti.
Yeah.
That was Michael Caine, Peter Ustinov, William Holden. It was a very interesting film because it was produced by a Swiss gentleman, and it was shot in Africa, in Israel, in Italy, about Michael Caine, who was married to a black girl who got kidnapped in Africa, and then he had to go after the slave traders to find her. And I team up with him to do this chase across cities, across deserts, etc., till we finally find the slave trader, who is Peter Ustinov, and justice is done.
That's fantastic. And of course, Thief of Baghdad, who can forget that?
Yeah, that was with Roddy MacDowall.
And that's Peter Ustinov as well, right?
And Peter Ustinov again, that's right. And that, of course, is a big classic, because Thief of Baghdad was known for years as one of the big fairy tale stories. And to do that for a major American production was also a great honor, where I played the prince. And incidentally, what's interesting is I also played the prince in a Hindi production of Thief of Baghdad, which starred Shatrugan Sinha. And so I've done that role twice. Like Taj, which I'm doing right now in theatre, I also did in Akbar Khan's film, Taj Mahal. I played Shah Jahan there too. So it's strange how I've done some roles twice. There's also an interesting story. I missed doing a role in the Far Pavilions of Khodadad, who was the captain of the guard. And then I got to play that same role 20 years later in the theatre at the West End in England in a play called The Far Pavilions, where it was a kind of musical adaptation of it. And so I got the role anyway many years later.
I have a pleasant surprise for you.
Tell me.
I'm taking you back now. We'll rewind several years.
All right.
I want you to see a little portion of the interview where I spoke to you many years ago.
Wow.
And this was done in Los Angeles in your house.
Right.
Where we talked about some of your works and some of these outstanding ventures. Especially, probably talk about Roger Moore and yourself in the film Octopussy, James Bond movie. And the film The Fugitive from the Empire with George Kennedy.
Right.
We talked about these, and I just want you to listen to what you said at that time.
All right,
okay?
love to.
Let's take
love
a look
to.
at it.
Go down memory lane.
American audiences first saw Kabir playing the leading role of the prince in The Thief of Baghdad, directed by Clive Donner. This was followed by his starring role in Ashanti, directed by Richard Fleischer, heading an international cast of actors including Michael Caine, Rex Harrison, and William Holden. In 1981, he starred in Fugitive from the Empire, directed by Nicholas Correa for Universal Studios, to be released internationally as a motion picture. In the US, it was seen as a world premiere movie on NBC TV. He plays the lead role in the motion picture, The 40 Days of Musadag. Kabir will tell you more about this and his other ventures, so it's over to Chandrasekar and Kabir Bedi in California.
Thank you. As Jaya said, we are in Hollywood. We are in West Hollywood on a beautiful, bright, sunny day. West Hollywood, incidentally, Kabir Bedi's residence is located in a lovely location in a very prestigious area just off Beverly Hills, in between the actual action where the heart of Hollywood is and Beverly Hills. Kabir, tell me, the movie Ashanti, you starred with William Holden, Michael Caine and others. Tell us a little bit about this film.
Well, that was a very interesting experience for me. One of the great moments in my life as an actor, because suddenly after my success in Europe, I was acting alongside Michael Caine, Peter Ustinov, Rex Harrison, William Holden, and having one of the two main roles in the film. Michael Caine had the lead and I had the next most important role. And it was a very difficult shooting because we were shooting in the Sinai Desert and it was extremely hot, 120 degrees in the shade. People were dropping like flies out of dehydration. And the director had a heart condition and he was hospitalized for a couple of days. And yet, through it all, my sense of excitement was total because I was working with actors who I had seen since I was a child. People who I'd learned from, who were gods to me. I mean, who could forget Rex Harrison in My Fair Lady? You know, who could forget Michael Caine and all the wonderful films that he's been? So, and Peter Ustinov and all these people, and I used to sit every evening with them and try and pick their brains, and after a while I realized that they were getting a little irritated with me because they were wanting to relate to me as a friend, and I was behaving like an over-eager student trying to pick the brain of his professor.
Clive Donner did a film with you, Thief of Baghdad, which was really sort of more of a box office type film, a commercial success. Tell us a little bit about this film.
The Thief of Baghdad is a classic. I mean, this is one of the all-time classics. There was a version in the 20s, and there was a version in the 50s, and this was the version of the 70s. And I was really very proud to be in that film. And that too was a magical thing because I was shooting with Roddy MacDowall and Terence Stamp and Peter Ustinov and a galaxy of just wonderful actors. Ian Holm, the great British actor. And we shot it on the sound stages at ATN Studios in London. And we also, the whole unit went to Spain where we did the outdoors. Because Spain has this wonderful influence of the Moors and the Muslim influence in their architecture, because the Moors ruled them for 700 years. And the exteriors were done in Spain. And that was also great fun. And I must say, purely from an actor's point of view, very gratifying because they knew me in Spain. They'd seen my series Sandokan as it had played in most of the European countries. And when we would film, they would come out and they would cheer, and it would be like an absolute carnival while I was in Spain. So for me, it was a very joyous experience, not only working with actors that I loved and admired and looked up to, but also going on the set and being cheered on by vast numbers of people. These are the satisfactions that, silly as they may seem, really mean a lot to an actor, and they really are the kind of satisfactions that make all the pain and insecurity of this profession worthwhile.
Very interesting. Just for the benefit of viewers, we are now going to give you some delightful segments from this box office film, Thief of Baghdad, featuring Kabir Bedi. Let's watch this.
Your Holiness, Lord of all true believers, I bring greetings from my people to your people.
Prince Taj, you are most welcome, and your greetings most gratefully received. Perhaps I may introduce my daughter, the Princess Yasmin. Yasmin, Prince Taj of Sahar, wishes to greet you and to pay his respect.
You did very well to avoid my sword, Jadur, for right would surely have guided its blade. Remove your veil. Let me see the sun and be guided by its light.
Do not shame me.
If at this moment Allah will be blind, I would have seen all the beauty there is to see.
Don't speak such things.
It's my heart that speaks. And I hear yours in answer.
We're talking to Kabir Bedi, the international star who moved from Bombay film industry to make a real headway in the Hollywood film industry. Kabir, our compliments to you. We had the pleasure of watching you. I was in Toronto sitting, sipping a cup of tea, and here you were, on the world television premiere on NBC's network with Universal's film, The Fugitive from the Empire, right?
Right.
Tell us a little bit about this venture. I understand this was with George Kennedy, right?
That was with George Kennedy. Now that was a very interesting thing as well, because what they tried to do was to take a setting somewhere out of the past, but a medieval past full of witchcraft and sorcery, and give it the feeling of a Star Wars. In other words, it was like a medieval Star Wars. And that involved a lot of technological tricks, special effects and things, people changing into animals and animals changing into objects and that sort of thing.
Our congratulations to you. I
Thank
have
you,
one
Shan.
more pleasant surprise for you. I have a little segment here that I want you to see of your outstanding success in Italy when Sandokan was done. Later you appeared in a talk show there, and my God, people gave you a standing ovation there with the theme music of Sandokan being played, and you walked through the hallway.
Right.
It was never, it was an outstanding reception that you received. I want you to watch this with me.
All right, gladly.
Okay, let's see this. Wow, hearty congratulations again.
Thanks, Shan.
That's fantastic, by the way.
My
We're
pleasure.
so proud of you. Which other star, has ever received in another country that kind of a reception, sincere audience appreciation? You captured the hearts of millions of people in Europe.
I'm grateful that it happened, and I'm so glad that you are bringing it to the attention of people outside Europe, because one of the sad things for me has been that, success in the English-speaking world gets reflected immediately in India and the English-speaking world. Success in Europe kind of remains within the boundaries of Europe because of language.
Right.
It's happening in Italian or German or French or Spanish. No one ever hears about it in the English world. And my greatest successes have been there. Right. Apart from whatever things you mentioned here, for which I'm again grateful. But I'm so glad you're taking what happened there and bringing it to the attention of people here, because it helps people understand me better. And one of the strange things about my life is nobody has ever seen all my work, because it's either in Hindi or in Italian or in English or in some other language. Not until I do a sort of real multilingual multilingual compilation of my own work, will anyone ever get to see the sum total of it? So thank you for beginning that process.
Oh, no, it's a pleasure. By the way, I've had a chat in the past. I've interviewed people like Raj Khosla as one of the leading directors in those days, and Rakesh Roshan. People like that, they've all spoken so highly of you because you were the hero in several of their films.
Yeah, I was in Kache Dhage with Raj Khosla.
Kache Dhage was your first one, and then Khoon
Bhari Maang with Rakesh Roshan.
Tell me about, you made over 60 to 70 Hindi films that you were featured in over a period of, 2.5 decades or 3 decades.
Right.
So tell us about your, fame in Hindi cinema.
Well, it was very strange because I wanted to be a director, really, when I set out. And I started by directing advertising films to learn the craft. And theatre used to be a hobby. So I did this wonderful historical play called Tughlaq, written by Girish Karnad, for Alec Padamsee in Bombay. And it became a huge hit. And suddenly, film producers were saying, please do these roles. And I thought, I want to be a director. Let me get into the industry, then we'll see. And as things turned out, one thing led to another, and I remained an actor all these years because acting just kept me going in various directions. So, really speaking, Kache Dhage was the film that gave me my first real big hit in Bombay. Then came other films, Nagin, etc. And
Nagin was with Sunil Dutt and Feroz Khan.
That's right. And 5-6 big stars.
Right.
But then almost immediately, the Italians kidnapped me, in a sense, because they came to Bombay looking for this Asian hero, because Sandokan is an Asian hero.
Right.
And that was the amazing thing about its European success, that it was about an Asian hero who falls in love with an English girl.
Right.
And yet fights the British. So, I got selected for this after some auditions, and then that, of course, went on to make history. So I really left India, and then having done various films, and then Rakesh Roshan called me back when I was shooting Magnum P.I. in Hawaii. He called me and said, I've got this film for you. And I said, okay, Gudu. I call him Gudu. Why me? Why are you calling me in Hawaii? You've got so many people in Bombay. He said, no, because Kabir, he said, here we have a film where the hero becomes the villain. And if I take a villain, everyone will know he's a villain. And no hero wants to become a villain. So I want somebody who will be a surprise for the audience.
Wow.
And that was the process. I went back to India to shoot a film, and which was supposed to be done in 2 months. Of course, it took longer than 2 months, and literally I stayed there 3 years and made 12 films, and then came back to Hollywood. And then, I sort of, then I spent more time in England and Italy, etc. And then I came back, and then I did these odd little roles in Kites and Blue and Mehuna with Shah Rukh Khan.
That's one with Hrithik Roshan. The other one was Akshay Kumar, and there was one with Shah Rukh Khan.
That's right. That's right. So I worked with some of the biggest stars.
राम, कुछ भी हो, प्रोजेक्ट मिलाप रुकना नहीं चाहिए।
सर,
15 अगस्त को उन कैदियों को रिहा करना ही होगा, और संजना की सुरक्षा।
सर, संजना को कुछ नहीं होगा।
देखा, फिर वही हुआ। लक्ष्मी जी ने दरवाजे पर नॉक दी और मैं बाथरूम में गाने गा रहा था। मुझे पता ही नहीं था कि जीना ग्रोवर, daughter of Bob Grover, owner of one of the biggest casinos in Vegas.
I was really happy with the film where I played Shah Jahan in Akbar Khan's production of Taj Mahal.
Right.
So all this adds up to a career that began in Bollywood, making me probably the first actor from Bollywood that went abroad and made a career before returning to Bollywood to continue his career.
That's fabulous.
बदतमीज गुस्ताख, हमारी आरामगाह में बिला इजाजत दाखिल होने की जरूरत कैसे की?
खादिम को आलम पनाह तक एक फरमान पहुंचाने का फर्ज सौंपा गया है।
निकल जाओ यहां से, दफा हो जाओ।
बराए मेहरबानी सुन लीजिए ना हुजूर।
हरगिज नहीं, हरगिज नहीं।
Let's talk about, again, back to Hollywood. You made a major breakthrough in network television in terms of Dynasty and Magnum PI, Bold and the Beautiful.
Yeah.
You had a series of them, you know,
Highlander, Night Riders, you name it.
Yeah.
I did them all. But, you know, the interesting thing in that is Bold and Beautiful.
Yeah.
Because whereas in America, it's a daytime soap.
Right.
Worldwide,
it's the second highest rated show in the world.
You're right. You're absolutely right. An audience of over 1 billion people sees The Bold and Beautiful, and I had a year-long role on that, opposite Hunter Tylo. And you cannot imagine the number of people that write to you from across the world, sackfuls of mail, who are Bold and Beautiful fans.
Yeah.
And just being part of that show and being opposite Hunter Tylo, who was regarded as one of the most beautiful women in America by People magazine, gives you a fan base that is unbelievable. And that coupled with a Bond film, and it doesn't matter, you know, you play a role of any significance in the Bond film, every Bond fan wants a picture of you, every Bond fan wants a part of you, wants you to come to their homes, to their clubs, to their events. So in that sense, you know, I've been extremely lucky that the things that I've done, or some of the things that I've done, have had a huge impact at the popular level. And that's happened for me in Europe, that's happened for me through the Bond, that's happened for me through Bold and Beautiful, it's happened to me through all the television series I did in America. And that's what really has made me a global actor, more than anything else.
Fabulous. Kabir, you're one of the few who can authentically speak about both the film industry in India and the film industry in the United States. What is the main difference in terms of the discipline and the approach in terms of participating in a film project?
Well, I'll tell you how it used to be. It used to be that Hollywood takes 2 years in pre-production and 2 months to produce a film. We do 2 months of pre-production and take 2 years to produce a film. But that's changing. That's changing. Today, I see big films in India being made in short periods of time, actors giving start to finish dates, films being completed. So a whole generational change has taken place.
Right.
I, for decades, never saw a script in Bollywood. They'd come and narrate a story to you, and you better remember it because you'll never get that narration again, and then you get pages on the set, and you had to perform.
Right.
Today, I'm seeing scripts.
Oh, good.
Today, I'm seeing much more disciplined budget making. I'm seeing much more innovative filmmakers. I think our filmmakers in India have the technical expertise of the best of Hollywood.
Wonderful.
What we need really is to invest more in good scripts and writers, and respect the fact that ultimately it is the writer's creation that creates the foundation for a great film, and also to reach out beyond our traditional markets and make films of the world. We do not have to restrict ourselves to just Bollywood markets, but the fact of the matter is the Bollywood market itself is so huge that people are saying, fine, if we're successful in this, we don't need to go further. But I'm saying there's a whole world out there.
Wonderful.
And I think we need to reach out for that. I believe Indian filmmakers will.
That's fantastic. I'm going to take you to another area where this is going to bring you nostalgic memories. Many years ago when I did your interview, I asked you a question about film financing and the use of seed capital, the importance of seed capital. I want you to watch what you told me at that time.
All right.
And I want to come back and then we'll talk about how that may have changed now, okay?
All right.
Let's take a look at it.
Sure.
Okay, great.
I understand here in Hollywood you've got two kinds of funding. One is the development funding, which is the seed money from what you have said before, and the other one is the production funding. Tell us a little bit about this and distinguish the difference between the two.
What they do here is by breaking up the funding into two halves, the development funding in one half and the production funding in the other, they make it possible for people who come in early to first recover their money at the time the production begins, and also retain at the same time an interest in the profits of the films at a much higher level of profit than the people that come in at the production level, because the people that have come in at the development level have in a sense taken a greater risk. They came in at an earlier stage. So the point of development funding is that for a certain sum of money that's put together, the stars are signed up, which involves paying them at least 10% of their basic remuneration. Agreements are made with distributors. You go to film markets, you present your project, you say, we are producing this particular thing with these stars in it, and we are offering it for sale in different film territories around the world. How much are you people willing to pay? And through that way, we hope to raise about half the production funding. And the second half of the production funding normally is the least part of the problem. Professional film investors come in, a domestic studio distribution is possible. There are a number of ways of approaching that. So the hardest part of the financing is to get this initial seed capital organized. And because it is the hardest part, the people that come in at the seed capital level get the best returns. That's basically what happens.
You know, Kabir, that was fascinating, especially at that time in the industry. You had a tremendous overview and the knowledge about both the Indian film industry and the Hollywood film industry. Tell me now, 25 years later, have things changed with respect to financing, in the feature film sector and the need for seed capital and issues of that nature? Especially we talked about the bond, performance bond.
Yes, completion bonds, performance bonds, all those are there and they're in place. And what's happened, I don't think the nature of film financing has changed that much in Hollywood. But I believe the nature of film financing has changed enormously in Bollywood.
I see.
Because the biggest change has been that the corporates have come in.
Right.
And they are looking at things in a very different way to the traditional Bollywood producers. Traditional Bollywood producers were sort of family-run companies, as many of them still are.
Right.
And these family-run companies ran things in their own way, had their sort of distributors, had their exhibitors, did business on a regular basis, etc. Whereas the corporates have come in with a much broader vision. They want to make many more films. They want to create the studio system in India. And as a result of that, the nature of the film funding has changed, and their demands are far more stringent. They take far more control. They're not just financiers. They've become the super producers, but they work through producers. So it's become a whole new relationship in India. It's more Hollywoodized. And, but what I am also very encouraged to see is there is a whole generation of young filmmakers in India who are making very bold, daring films with very innovative film techniques and are managing to get funds for it. And so there are all kinds of additional sources of funding opening up, as they should. Because, we are entering a whole different age. We are entering an age which is the true democratization of cinema. The real challenge now is the battle of ideas. Who comes out with the best ideas, the most innovative ideas that they can make with the simplest of terms and yet make $100 million or win an Oscar? That's the challenge today.
Fabulous. Your series was an outstanding series, the director's cut. You brought some of the biggest celebrities in there. So I want you to see with me just a little piece of your work with, possibly we'll pick up one of them, maybe Aamir Khan. Let's take a look at that.
Okay, let's watch. Where we are talking to superstar Aamir Khan, now director. When you shot Tare Zameen Par, did you have any such moments?
No, I don't think so. I think in तारे ज़मीन पर मैं डायरेक्टर भी खुद हूँ, तो मैं ही डिसाइड कर रहा था हम लोग कब क्या शूट कर रहे हैं.
Right. लेकिन एक कॉन्फ्लिक्ट कभी होता है कि मैं प्रोड्यूसर हूँ, मेरे इतने पैसे खराब हो जाएंगे अगर मैं ये करूँ, अगर मैं अपना माइंड चेंज करूँ.
नहीं, आई थिंक ये इस फिल्म में मुझे ये कॉन्फ्लिक्ट नहीं फेस करना पड़ा. आई वाज थिंकिंग एज अ डायरेक्टर.
You come from a very illustrious background. Your father was actively participating in the freedom movement, and you were well educated, you were very articulate right from your childhood. Who were your idols when you were young growing up in the film industry?
I grew up with the trinity of Raj Kapoor, Dilip Kumar, and Devanand. These were the big heroes of my childhood, and they were the ones that dominated the screens. So when I joined the film industry and had the opportunity of meeting all of them and working with Devanand in person in a film called Ishq Ishq Ishq, it was a really, you know, like what happens when you meet your favorite film star.
Right, right.
And whether you're in the industry, whether you're an actor or star, you're still starstruck by the stars that were your heroes as a child. So that was very special to me, to meet them, to share time with them, to be recognized by them, and complimented by them. I mean, I remember Raj Kapoor saying, "Well done" to me, and saying how proud he was of what I'd done abroad, sitting up in a hotel in Mysore where we met.
Wonderful.
He was staying at the sort of Rajendra Vilas on top of the hill. And and that's high praise coming from somebody who'd been your idol.
That's fantastic. You know, recently I had the pleasure of having Harbhajan Mann in the studio here with me, and we were talking about you.
I did a Punjabi film, yes.
You did a film, Yara.
Yara Aur Dildara.
Yeah, Yara Aur Dildara.
With Harbhajan Mann.
With Harbhajan Mann.
मेरा जवाब आज भी हुई मैं तेरे इनकार की वजह जानता हूं पुत्र मैं तेरा बाप हूं तेरा दुखी नहीं
Being a Punjabi, I thought Punjabi film karni to chahiye. Yeah. So when Harbhajan Mann came to me with a story, I said, yeah, I'll do it, because I love Harbhajan and I love his music, and I did the film. So it was a lovely experience doing it, and especially the joy of working in the Punjab, surrounded by all my Punjabi brothers. So we did the film Yara Aur Dildara, and I'm very proud not only of the role that I played, but also the fact that my Punjabi was so good.
How good?
You know, I didn't forget Punjabi. I remembered my Punjabi.
Wonderful, wonderful. Tell me a little bit about your family.
My daughter,
Pooja
Bedi, had acted also in films. She did a film called Jo Jeeta Wahi Sikandar with Aamir Khan. And then she's done, presented on television shows. She's writing newspaper columns. She's raising 2 beautiful children.
Lovely.
And she's living her life well.
That's wonderful.
And my son Adam, who's from my American wife,
right.
He's also in India. He's acting in films now.
Wonderful.
And he's also, he's based himself in Goa, where he's doing various events and various other activities in Goa that basically make him the person to go to in Goa if you want anything done.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of events and films, etc. So he's leading a very productive life of his own. And I have a wonderful woman called Parveen in my life. We've been together for 7 years now.
Oh, congratulations.
And I look forward to spending the rest of my life with her.
Yeah, you both went to Amritsar as well recently.
We went to Amritsar as well, that's right.
Right.
You're so well informed, Shah. You know, let me just say, let me reiterate 2 things. One is I'm so proud to see your success, so proud to see how enormous an impact you've made in the field of multicultural television, building the biggest network in North America. And I've seen you do this with passion, with integrity, with dedication, and I salute that.
That's very kind of you. Coming from you, that's a real compliment.
No, I mean that. I mean that.
Very, very kind of you. Kabir, it's been an absolute honor having you in the program with us. And what can we expect from the great Kabir Bedi in the next 5 years?
The best is yet to come. Keep watching.
Wonderful. I like that.
Thanks, Shan.
We'd love to have you back very soon. This time, don't wait for that many years. We should keep in touch.
I shall be back sooner. I shall be back sooner.